Every major news story is with many perspectives and layered with different levels of impact.
Hello. What time did this happen? We will be right there.
At TVC News, we follow the big and major news, gathering the facts, witnessing the outcome.
I am here live at the aftermath of the approval of the new national minimum wage.
We are TV Station of the Year, not just for breaking news, but for being first, fair and accurate. TVC News, first with breaking news.
I'm not oblivious to your pain. Tough times never last. That's the message from President Tinubu in his New Year Day speech. He says his administration will have no excuse for poor performance as he has taken the path to serve Nigeria and give his best at all times. He's also talking boldly about his administration's policy coordination, evaluation, monitoring and delivery unit that will keep his appointees on their toes and ensure that the presidency will deliver governance output that indeed will improve the lives of Nigerians. Let's hear more about the details of that speech in this report.
It gives me immense joy to work.
In a nationwide broadcast on Monday, President Bola Tinubu addressed Nigerians on celebration of the New Year 2024. He reminisced on his journey to becoming president and praised Nigeria's 24 years of uninterrupted democracy. President Tinubu talked about making difficult choices, such as eliminating fuel subsidy and relieving a small number of people who were choking Nigeria's foreign exchange system, which benefited only the wealthy.
To become your president.
He acknowledged that these two choices caused discomfort to Nigerians. However, he said that hard times don't last. In 2024, President Tinubu said his administration will focus on accelerating the pace of service delivery across sectors. On reliable supply of electricity, he said his administration recognizes that no meaningful economic transformation can happen without steady electricity supply.
Just this past December, during COP28 in Dubai, the German Chancellor, Olaf Scholz, and I agreed and committed to a new deal to speed up the delivery of Siemens energy power projects that will ultimately deliver reliable supply of electricity to our homes and businesses under the presidential, which began in 2018. Other power installation projects to strengthen the reliability of our transmission lines and optimize the integrity of our national grid are ongoing across the country. My administration recognizes that no meaningful economic transformation can happen without steady electricity supply. In year 2020.
President Tinubu says his administration is moving a step further to restart local refining of petroleum.
In year 2024, we are moving a step further. Quest to restart local refinery of petroleum products with Port Harcourt Refinery and the Dangote Refinery, which shall fully come on stream.
The president also pledged to accelerate efforts to cultivate 500,000 hectares of farmlands nationwide to boost food supply. To boost investors' confidence, he reiterated commitment to remove any hurdle to foreign investment.
That I lead will continue to show themselves.
President Tinubu also spoke about the actualization of 8 priority areas in 2024 budget.
In my 2024 budget to the National Assembly, I listed my administration's 8 priority areas to include national defense and internal security, job creation, macroeconomic stability, investment environment, optimization, human capital development, poverty reduction, and social security.
For President Tinubu, the unity of Nigeria is paramount. He sought the support of the opposition and wants Nigerians to let the light of each citizen, men and women, young and old, shine bright and brighter to illuminate the path to a glorious dawn. Ademola Lawrence, TVC News, Lagos.
Dr. Nicholas Felix, CEO, DNF Oil and Gas Nigeria Limited, joins us live from New York in the U.S. And I'm here in the studio with Omori Edogiawere, startup business lawyer and financial analyst. Gentlemen, thank you for staying the course on the program. Let's begin in the studio. The president is given a vibe of someone who understands what the circumstances are. He did say he's privy to conversations about high inflation, rising cost of living, and unacceptable underemployment. How important is having a president who understands this situation at such a time like this?
Well, fundamental, 101%. And I'll tell you why. The bane of our leadership in this country have been having leaders who are detached, right, or who are in a bubble. And I think it's the system of governance intentionally puts them in that bubble that disconnects them.
Insulates them from
Right.
the reality
Yeah.
of the people. Mm.
Now, but you have a president who, for almost 20 years or almost 15 years, had been out of government, so actively, personally out of government, but had always been behind the scenes and dealing more with the grassroots, mobilization and all that. So, if anything, he'll be one person who has felt the pulse of those who are the grassroots, right, and who actively bear the brunt of good or bad governance. So it's essential, and this is not just about the president. One conversation that we are failing to have is the failure of the local government system, right, and the failure of the other stratas of governance. Because really, if you really look at everything, you will find that the system of government that is supposed to directly impact in a larger percentage on you and I is the local government system.
We're going to have to ask the governors to allow them to breathe.
So, which is one of the things that the president must now intentionally do, which is to say to give more autonomy into the local government administration. Because it appears today that local government leadership is under the whims and caprices of the government. But let's not deviate. Let's go back to the fact that the president understands the grassroots, understands the pulse of the average Nigerian. And the outlook in his budget, in his speech, shows that there's intentional push, right? Or there is the will to intentionally address some of these challenges. Whether or not that will succeed is a different kettle of fish. But we must now say, look, talk is cheap, right? So we can say all we want to say, but if we do not have clear measures in place, and that's why I said earlier that I'm excited with the Consumer Credit Fund, right, to help MSMEs buffer. If you want, now, see, I always say, look, when it comes to things like inflation and when it comes to poverty, it's more of a product of the money you have buying you less than what you ordinarily would be able to buy. So anybody who earns 100,000 naira today with a family is more or less in trouble, right? 10 years ago, that wasn't the case. If you do not have a reverse engineering where you bring money, you give more value to less amounts, we will not be able to bridge the poverty gap that is widening today.
It wouldn't matter even how much we pay.
No, it wouldn't matter. So people who earn 100,000 10 years or 15 years ago are earning over $1 million, and it's really not meaning anything to them because you go into the shops and what can you get for that amount, right? So we must attack that. And that's why I said to you, fix the issues that have brought us here. Our food is a major thing. Like when you talk about inflation, one of the biggest targets or hits is agriculture, food stability, right? Attack that aggressively. I had said earlier that one way of getting FX is to commoditize, right? Commoditize a product, whether cassava, rice, whatever, invest in it. And so there must be a flow of fixing the indices, the root cause of this problem. So giving loans, I've never been one who supports subsidies, right? I rather say the monies you are going to invest in subsidizing must be applied to solving the root cause of the problem. Why do people have challenges today? Affordable health care, education, right, and security to be able to move around. If these three things are fixed, and then you have, for those in business, power. Power is a major challenge, and investors will still tell you that the monies they dissipate on generating power can actually be used into...
Interestingly, the president seemed to touch on all these matters. He talked about the Siemens project, how it's going with a possible implementation due in time. Talks about cultivating about 500 hectares of land and what's doing in agriculture. But let's take this conversation to the U.S. I know, Dr. Felix, you've talked about the importance of non-oil oil revenue, but it's still a mainstay in our economy as of today. And the president said in a speech that there are plans to restart local refining of petrol within the country. Talked about the Port Harcourt refinery and the Dangote refinery, which is now, expected to come on stream. What are your expectations in this regard, and how much impact do you think it would have on how much Nigerians pay per liter here?
Yeah, you see, when the fuel subsidy was removed, and we started talking about the palliatives. I've always kicked against palliative, because I wouldn't want the government to focus on the temporary measures than the permanent solution. So one of the areas I was really focusing on was the refineries. So hearing the president say our local refineries, thank God for the Dangote refinery. That's a personal business. But in terms of our Port Harcourt refinery and the others, the fact that they are going to be working this year, I believe strongly, two things is going to affect the price. It's also going to affect the availability of the products. I own filling stations in Nigeria. There are times for 3 weeks we go without product. 3 whole weeks we don't have products. We are sourcing for. We would love to see where we are busy. We have the DPK and all of that, but we can't even get products to sell. So I believe having our own refineries working, number one, is going to have more availability. We don't have to be queuing online. And also, I think where it will make more impact is the fact that the price will reduce. Anything to bring the price of fuel down, I think that's what we should be looking at. So when you listen to the speech of Mr. President, I think it was quite very, very encouraging. And being a man who has brought the champion of the Renewed Hope agenda, it was very hopeful to hear him speak in that regard. So we can't wait to see the refinery start working, the Dangotes and all of the rest. When this happens, I think Nigerians will begin to smile. We want to see the availability. The price can be high, and yet there's no petrol to buy. Sometimes we have to queue up. That's where the challenge is. If that is fixed, it's going to change everything as to getting the price of oil.
Mr. President also talked passionately about local and foreign investment. He said clearly that every foreign trip is embarked on. His message to investors has been that Nigeria is open for business and that is indeed committed to removing every clog in the wheel of that. Talk to us about just how important this is, for the new year.
Oh, yes, that is very, very key. Anytime I hear the president use a phrase, as a businessman, I like that phrase when he says we are open for business. In other words, come and let's do business. That is the phrase I always hear him, like to hear him say. Now, as investors, the president has been traveling to get foreign investors to come. Nobody wants to spend money or invest in a society where they are not secure, And I want this administration, which I'm gladly part of, to also focus on not just foreign investors. There are Nigerians who can invest in our own country. There are Nigerians, even in the diaspora, who can come back to their own country to invest. We need to start speaking to them. When the president used every roadblock, that is very key. It shouldn't be so difficult to register a business. You want to register a business. I'm glad my brother there is a business lawyer. He understands this area. It shouldn't be difficult for me to set up a business. For example, I have mine in setting up some factories in Nigeria. It shouldn't be difficult for me to get a simple license. I'm here in the US. I could go online in many of the businesses I own here, register, the ease is there for me to get my business registered. So
hold that thought for a minute, Dr. Felix.
Let
us quickly take this call from Mazio Korafo. It's called from Arochukwu in Abia State.
Good morning, Mr. Anthony. Happy New Year to you and to our guests and to all Nigerians, everybody.
Happy New Year, Mazio.
Well, we thank God today is Tuesday and the beginning of the year. And what the President said, the New Year message, is a welcome development. Now, I want us to, as Nigerians, that all those agencies, as the President said, he's feeling the pains, he's feeling the injury, some Nigerians are feeling. Let the agencies that are responsible for all these pains to do what? To inject the system so that all these pains will go away from Nigerians within this year and within this month. By the time the agencies will inject all those things, at least Nigeria will start getting things better. So this pains and injury will go. As you are talking about the refinery, but whether the refinery or not the refinery, but the question is that Dangote is a elongated story we have been hearing. Let it be functional. And investors to come, there must be security. Now, we have seen that the raw materials we have in Nigeria are also available. But the question is to go and harness this is the problem. So the government should do at this point. That security now is what we should target 247 to make sure we use the drones and missiles to eradicate all these bandits, to make sure the manufacturers get their raw materials. Look at maize, look at beans, look at the cost, look at palm oil. Even the maize, if you go to Brazil, they get all this medicated for salad and that. All those areas, high tension. What's happening there is the problem. And even the maize, they use maize to produce conflict, all those other items which the children normally use, even adults use it to take as breakfast. But when is this very expensive in the market? Honestly, I was very, very disappointed that before the just crisis issue, just massacre.
I think we lost that call, but you made a lot of sense, and we understand your position on the matter. You heard Dr. Felix talk about the ease of doing business. Yeah. That reminds me, you're a business startup lawyer. Maybe you want to help us understand what the challenges are in this regard.
Well, some things that are very key. And before addressing that, it's also important to point out that foreign direct investments, the biggest challenge they've had have been three-pronged: security concerns, unavailability of FX, and structural deficits, right? And reports have shown that FDI has only contributed to 1% of our GDP. And that's, for a country like Nigeria, that's not good, right? Because we're supposed to be an investor's delight. And we have the numbers. We can.
How many percent did you say?
1%.
1%.
And that's not good. But ease of doing business. The biggest thing any investor wants is to be able to transact quickly. Business is time-based, right? We are making progress, but a lot can be done, right? If you say you're open for business, you also must show that you're open for business. What are the things the investors want to see? They want to be able to easily set up business structures, right? Our tax regime must be, and I'm very excited about what the Oyedele panel is looking at, codifying our tax laws and ensuring that, we breeze, because the biggest challenge businesses have are with double taxation. Federal will tax you, states will tax you, local governments will tax you, even council areas will tax you. And that's because you have multiple taxes and everybody is just picking from. We need to codify our laws.
Let's hold that thought. Let's take Judge Score very quickly. Mr. George, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Me, and happy New Year to Dr. Felix and the other person. I got some glimpses of the budget last night. And one thing that I noticed, Nifemi, was that there are three sectors that the government is projecting to come on stream in this 2024. That is the mining, the blue economy, and the entertainment sector. But I noticed that there were no projections, income projections from these three sectors. And I was asking myself, is it that we're going to spend the whole of 2024 to do foundational work in these sectors before we expect something to come in. So I don't know. The other second question I want to ask Dr. Phillips is this. Our NNPC GMD has said it severally on air that the refineries are not set up to reduce fuel prices. I don't know how to comprehend it. Can you please enlighten us further on that? If we are sending crude out of the country to go and refine and then buy it back, and the prices are high like this, there will be no difference if we are now refining it in our local environment. I find it difficult to understand. And as someone from the oil and gas sector, let him please enlighten us on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge, for your contribution. I'm afraid we're running out of time. I had that conversation with someone on Beyond 100 Days yesterday who did mention that there should be a minor reduction in price, but most importantly, what we should be looking forward is the impact it will have on FX if we are producing locally. But if Dr. Felix can do that in 1 minute, because we have to go now. What are your thoughts in this regard?
I believe it's going to definitely affect us positively. How much reduction, that I cannot tell, but I believe there's going to be some sort of reduction. And the availability of it, I think that's also very, very important. If I may throw more light again on the business aspect of it, I think investors need to have ease of doing business. The president is attracting mega investors. I think the ministers, we have to go after those little investors. Somebody who can invest 100 million, they go a long way. These are the people who hire the young men on the streets. Everybody will not have the opportunity to work in these bigger firms that are coming. But we need little investors here and there. Somebody who have 10 employees, 5 employees, they go a long way in affecting the average Nigerian youth on the street.
Quickly, do you want to add to that? 30 seconds.
So ease of doing business. We already have the Business Facilitation Act, which essentially is pushing to improve the ease of doing business, making government a continuum. We have the Startup Act, right? And if government is interested in building our digital economy, which is where the world is going to, they must now intentionally look at the implementation of the Act, right? Which provides a neat leeway for investors to bring in their resources, invest here, and also take those resources out, right? But before you can attract investment into your country, you must fix security. People must know that they are safe. And once they have that feeling of safety, right, beyond Lagos, Abuja, and some popular areas where they can actually go to the end users or go to deal with the raw produce, I think that we'll have a lot more investments.
And that's our time. Omori Edo Gawere, Startup Business Lawyer, Financial Analyst. Thank you for talking to us.
Thank you for having me.
And Dr. Nicholas Felix, CEO, DNF, Oil and Gas Nigeria Limited. Thank you so much for your contribution. Happy New Year, gentlemen.
Thank you. Same to you.
Happy New Year. Good to be here. Thank you very much for having me.
That's our show today. We're back tomorrow, God willing. I am Nifemi Oguntoye.